Hey, welcome back to another episode of Kevin's Commentary on Comics. You know, there are really a lot of good comic book related movies out there right now and TV shows, and I want to talk about one of those comic book related TV shows specifically. Let's talk about CW's The Flash. Now, to be honest, when this was first announced, I was a bit hesitant on watching it. And mainly just because it was from the CW. I mean, they brought us such shows as Dawson's Creek and Seventh Heaven and Felicity and Charmed and all those. Those are shows I was never really into. And I kind of thought, well, maybe this is going to be the same. Now, I've never watched Arrow, which is kind of The Flash is kind of a spin-off of that show. But I was never a big Green Arrow fan of the comics, so I was never really interested in the show itself. But The Flash is a different story. He is one of my favorite DC comic book characters, if not one of my favorite comic book characters of all time. Probably in my top 10. I watched the original Flash TV series back in 1990, I think, with John Wesley Shipp as the Flash, and they've even brought him back in the new Flash TV show playing Barry Allen's father. That was kind of a cool homage to that original series. So let's dive into the show. Now I'm going to throw up a spoiler alert right here because I am going to talk about some of the things that have happened in the show, give away some things that have been occurring, some of the mysteries that are involved. So if you haven't seen it, be warned that I am going to talk about some things that will be revealed as you watch the show. Obviously, the season is not even done yet, so not all answers have been answered. No, not all questions have been answered. So just be warned. Okay, you see that spoiler alert, right? Okay, so the basics of the show are pretty simple. They've stuck pretty close to the comic book origin of the Flash. Barry Allen is a forensic scientist in Central City, and he gains his super speed powers through a storm that a big old lightning bolt crashed through and splashed a bunch of chemicals on him, and then all of a sudden he's got super speed. Well, that's how it worked in the comics. All of a sudden he got super speed. In the TV show, he went into a coma for 9 months. One of the biggest differences between the comic book origin and the TV show origin is that the storm was caused by a particle accelerator plant that exploded when they powered it up for the very first time. Coincidence? Probably not. So Barry Allen gets hit by lightning, he goes into a coma, he's nursed back to health by actually the guy who caused the whole storm and explosion to begin with, Dr. Harrison Wells, who is played superbly by Tom Cavanaugh. Also with Wells is Cisco Ramon, who's played by Carlos Valdez, and Caitlin Snow, who's played by Danielle Panabaker. Both great characters, by the way. Oh, and before I get too far into this, it should be noted that as a child, Barry Allen witnessed the murder of his mother by a yellow Flash who he actually saw and became known as the Man in the Yellow Suit. Now, longtime comic book readers know that this is the Reverse Flash or Professor Zoom, however you want to refer to him. In fact, in later episodes, it's even revealed that during the time that his mother was being killed, there was a Red Flash there too, and they discovered that that was actually Barry Allen as an adult, apparently trying to stop the Man in the Yellow Suit from murdering his mother. But this is where the show is really shining and showing off the Flash's powers. He runs super fast, and although he's still not as fast as he is in the comics, he does seem to be getting faster and faster with each episode. He's running up buildings, he's running across water, he's doing all the things we want to see him do. The only thing we haven't actually seen him do that he does a lot in the comics is vibrate through solid matter, or maybe use his arms as mini tornadoes to stop himself from falling. There was one episode in particular where I thought they were going to do that, but they didn't. Maybe we'll see it in a future episode. No complaints really, they've done great with the powers, and even the special effects, which really amount to nothing more than a blur and lightning bolts, but still very effective. So let's talk about the supporting characters outside of Barry Allen. First, you have Detective Joe West, who took in Barry as a child when Barry's father was actually convicted for the murder of Barry's mom. Jesse L. Martin plays Detective West, and I wasn't crazy about him at first, but he really has grown on me and he's become one of my favorite characters on the show. Next up is Iris West, who's played by Candice Patton, and she is very hot. Now, as an actress, she's okay. She fits into the CW model as far as the schmaltz effect. We had to have a romantic quality to the show, and for that part, she kind of plays that soap opera style girlfriend / unrequited love role. I mean, you gotta hand it to her. She's become a waitress, a blogger, and a reporter, all within 15 episodes, so that's pretty good. In some ways, she's kind of more a Lois Lane than she is an Iris Allen. I really don't even remember what Iris did in the comics, but I'm pretty sure she didn't blog, that's for sure. Next up, we have the Star Lab folks. Dr. Wells, Cisco, and Caitlin, who I mentioned earlier. They are primarily playing the role of support for the Flash as he's out fighting crime. In a lot of the episodes, the Flash will say, hey, how fast do I have to go to run up a building? And Cisco will go to, 868 miles an hour. And he just goes and does it. I don't really get that, and that's a little bit gimmicky part of the show I don't care for. I mean, if the Flash didn't really know how fast he needed to go, he would just run as fast as he could until he could do it. Does he have some sort of speedometer in his head that says, okay, I'm at 868, now I can run up the wall? I don't think so. So I don't get why they have it. I take that back. I understand it's for narrative purposes and they got to move things along. Plus they have to have some reason to have these guys. So that's their role. But I cringe every time it happens. Now we should talk a little bit about Cisco and Caitlin. In the comics, Cisco Ramon is the alter ego to a character known as Vibe, who has vibration type powers. He can make earthquakes and stuff like that. He was a lesser-known member of the Justice League, and he was modeled after, wait for it, a breakdancer. Weird, yes, but there you have it. Then we have Caitlin Snow, who in the comics is the alter ego for a villainess known as Killer Frost. What's interesting is that Killer Frost is a primary villain to the superhero known as Firestorm in the comics. Now, Firestorm is a character that has been introduced on The Flash, so how this all ties together, I don't really know. It just seems a little too coincidental that they're using these names for these characters and not to think that they're both going to have some sort of superpowers at some point in time, and Caitlin, who's a good girl now, becomes a bad girl later. Don't know. So Firestorm has been in a recent subplot and then moved to the feature plot of a couple episodes. Firestorm is the fusion between Ronnie Raymond and Dr. Martin Stein. Rumor has it that they're going to spin off Firestorm into its own series, which I do think will be very cool. Whoa, I sure have a lot to talk about regarding The Flash, don't I? So much so that I think I'm going to split this thing into a two-parter, and if you're keeping track, you just watched the first part. So stay tuned for part 2 of my review of The Flash, where we will dive deeper into the mysteries going on in the show, and most importantly, the villains. Thanks for watching, and hey, to make sure you don't miss part 2, why not click on the subscribe button right now? It helps you, it helps me, and it may help The Flash, although I doubt it. Thanks for watching.